All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of State of the Hobby. Coming back to join us is Marvelous Pax and Brian from Marvel Cards Up. What's going on, guys? How was your guys' New Year?
Hey, why don't you go first, Vic?
Oh man, well, you know what? This is the first show of the year, and
Mhm.
it's been, you know what? I have goals, bro. And I'm gonna start fresh because it's all about like having a plan going forward. And you know what? Screw it. They don't if they don't want me in a certain forum, I'll find a new forum. And that's what I love about this hobby is it's growing all over, man. Doesn't matter. People are getting into this stuff, and I'm gonna nurture the new collectors. I'm gonna make that my goal, and my goals for 2022 gonna be going to some shows with you guys. Hopefully, both of you together, in person.
Oh
Fuck
yeah.
coronavirus,
Mhm.
and yeah, man. Like, I really want to be able to like grade but also test out grading like around different companies, as maybe my goal is to see a healthier hobby. So we'll see if some of the other companies bring prices. Maybe some companies come into play grading Marvel cards, maybe not, but I'm hoping to kind of like have some fun with my kids, open cheap
Right.
product, and like while people are looking all at Spider-Man metal, then I'm gonna go after some stuff that I've been wanting to get, because there'll be a little mini dip somewhere in the year. I feel
And
like
you,
there's gonna be a surge, then a dip.
and you want to try
So
out
what do you guys got
CGC,
going?
right?
I do. I want to try it out just because I want to have like a character, like say Doctor Strange, to match up with my CGC book, and I want to
Yeah.
have that card just to and have the experience of grading with them, seeing what their turnaround is, seeing how they do the White Schwartz thing. So I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
a shot. I ordered a box, and why not? Like maybe give a. I mean, everybody thinks I'm married to one company. Let's be honest. When I
You're
came into the
not?
hobby, the company available was what?
Hmm.
SGC, because you're not going to
Yes.
send Marvel cards in at
Hmm.
150 a card. And yeah,
Right.
I have some PSA stuff. I have PSA cards over here, but like you pick them up, you buy them. You don't grade with them if they're going to charge you an arm and a leg, and you want to get experience grading. Now that I've gotten
Mhm.
experience and I've learned it's all about like aesthetics, and for me collecting, I'm putting my cards up high. I don't want anybody buying my stuff. I want to keep it as long as I can and let the market
Hmm.
catch up with me because Marvel
Well,
cards are the future, and my
I
kids are going to want to enjoy it.
I know that when CGC opens up for regular Marvel cards, I'm definitely going to send some stuff to them.
Hmm.
Um, just so I can get book matches and stuff like that. I think that'd be so awesome. Um, to have two slabs like that, and hopefully, which I think would be an extremely smart thing on their part, is if they came out with a redesigned slab, maybe a little bit bigger or something, to where it could house both the book and the card match, like a cover card match or something like
Hmm.
that. That
Ooh.
would be pretty dope. Then you don't have two separate encasements, just like one encasement. Dude, that'd be
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Yeah, and to your guys' point, another thing that CGC has going for itself is the subgrades. They're the only other ones other than Beckett that has the subgrade. So
Yeah.
for that
So
reason, I think that's super cool. Um,
HTA has the subgrades.
I don't know who they are.
Oh,
I
okay.
must
You're like,
no,
what?
but no, but
But you got
yeah, I
one.
mean,
You got a
yeah,
card
yeah, I did.
with
But
HCA.
I bought the card, not the
Yes.
grading company in that case.
Yeah.
That was a perfect
That's
example
what
of
I
that.
always try to tell people.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes, buy the
Well,
card, not the
yeah.
company. True
Yeah.
collectors do that.
Yeah, and the thing is too, like, just wanted to touch on what Victor was saying. Personally, like, you know, I think what people forget nowadays is that just because you talk to people and you listen to their opinions doesn't mean you're co-signing their opinions, right?
Yeah.
We're all grown men. We all have the ability to have our own opinions and state them, and some of us are more passionate than others about the way we state our opinions. But at the end of the day, they're just still opinions. And
That's right.
honestly, not to get political, but I think largely that's what's going on with our country right now, which is a problem where you can't even have a discussion and there's cancel culture. That's not the way to go, because a
No.
lot a lot of the times, if anybody wanted to argue with you, if we have them on a podcast or on live or everybody's open to see the discussion. They don't want that.
Come on in.
And at the end of the day,
They can
like you were
come, though.
saying, you were talking about you're focusing on the new collectors. At the end of the day, they're the minority. The majority is the people that are going to flood the market. At the end of the day, you're talking to maybe about 10 or less people, when at the end of the day, they're going to mean this much in comparison to the bigger piece of the pie, which is going to be everybody else that's going to be joining the hobby.
Right.
So look, at the end of the day, again, it'd be awesome to see people, man up and come on and have a discussion and use some logic instead of acting out of emotion. But I don't know if they would. And another thing, remember, they could say whatever they want online, but at the end of the day, are those people going to keep the same energy if they run into you in a sports card show? I don't know.
Right.
Question mark.
Right. Yep.
So
Dude, some of it also is like the aspect of being role models, right? People follow role models and they follow herds, So when there's like a herd of bad role models, the majority of the new bases adopt that as the normal, where it's and that's ties into what you're saying about our country. It's the cancel culture and all that dumb shit. It's part of that. It's them seeing a herd of role models not operating the way they really should be, and so we can't really fall into that trap, which is why opinions are awesome. Different opinions are so awesome because you can bounce those ideas off of people who think differently, and then you can find new paths, or you can make it reaffirms your own path, right?
Yes.
So that's the greatest thing about opinions, right? And thoughts and just individuality, right?
And another thing to your point, sorry to cut you off, but just because you mentioned it, it's like, and at the end of the day, if we can't even think about it like this too, I mean, this just came to me. If we can't even have a discussion when it comes to a hobby and we're talking about marble cards, how do we expect other bigger fucking real issues in the country to be fixed when we can't even fix issues within? That's sad.
It is,
honestly,
really
and that
is.
doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future, personally, unfortunately.
Well,
I
what
worry
they
about
say.
I worry about the new collectors too.
It all starts with you. It all starts with you, right?
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're a pillar and you hold your ground on wanting to be just a rad human, then that's all you can do. That can guarantee yourself that you're doing your best, right? And the last show that we had, we signed off on let's just be better,
Yes.
So I think that there is a beautiful goal for everybody going into this new year, is continue to just be the best you that you can be, right? You don't got to go to the gym. You don't got to finish sets. You don't got to do shit. Just be the best of what you yourself actually want to be.
Yeah, like you realize your potential.
I really want to see new people come into the hobby and be as excited as like possible. Like I feel like, okay, I came into the hobby about like a year and a half ago, and I didn't really know as much because there wasn't as much content out there, but I did my own research and I put in a lot of time because that was my passion of it. And now people are coming in, and I feel like this is great. They have shortcuts now, and now there's a lot more out there. But those shortcuts aren't always, like, let's be real, sometimes that information is not always the best. So yeah, you have to take that with that grain of salt and do your own research and bring it to your own data. And that's what I was been trying to do in this hobby. And it seems like anytime I bring in numbers or ideas or start following new people in the hobby, I'm like guilty by association, or I'm a person that is an easy target because of my passion or because of my weakness of being reactionary too. Because I have as much fault in that as anyone else. So I think when I was banned from the Facebook group And when I was basically told, hey, we don't like you, we don't want you here, we've received enough complaints about you, when I technically never broke the rules, like, hey, like to me, that just said that I've made it in the collecting I want to do, because clearly I get people to react. Like I put some posts in that group that like aren't for sale, aren't like crazy viral sales posts. No, I've just put in like my ideas and my own thoughts, and some of it's inspired by people I know in the hobby, people like in this group. And what, they've gotten like 200 plus comments. I feel like I start a nice discussion going. So for me, it is hurtful when I'm kind of like, hey, get out of here, you're not welcome here anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, I have now I have my right in this hobby to still have my voice and to still be able to say, hey, like this is still my avenue to speak about it. And if anyone wants to, I challenge you, if anyone wants to come in, write to Elusive, write to me, write to Brian, and say, hey, I want to talk about this, and come on our show. I challenge you for 2022, whenever you're ready, come on and let's talk about our differences, and let's see if we can not resolve them and have a healthy discussion. Because I feel like what Elusive is saying is correct. I feel like, nah, you're not ready to come on here, because at the end of the day, logic always is going to go over the top. And, coming at me and cornering me is not the way to do it. So nice try, MCCW.
It's just good conversation too.
Mhm.
It's the art of having good conversation, right? It's lost on a lot of people, and we need more of it. Just
Well, we need
in
real
general.
talk too. We need real people to come
Good
on and talk
conversation.
and be like be fact, come in here prepared, come in here with your game, and also be yourself. Because at the end of the day, hey, I may have passions and opinions, but you do
at the same time,
too. And
though,
it doesn't mean I'm going to disagree and agree all the time, but I'm not going to hate you about it and say, you know what, hey, you get to go, you got to
yeah.
go. You're not one of the original OGs, so
At
bye.
the same time, though, the best
So
conversations are the ones you don't really plan for, because that's the authentic conversation. When you plan for it and you strategize for conversation, your rep, you start putting your rep into who you really are, and our reps are not our real selves. When I worked in the
we don't have a
security
script.
industry, right? When I worked in the securities industry, it was that's all you met. You only met people's reps, and then when the door shut, that's where you saw the real people, And then when the doors opened, total reps. So the art of good conversation is just not having a plan, just flowing with each other, vibing, bouncing off each other, opinions, things that have made things so beautiful in the world in the past are completely lost now,
Another thing
I
I wanted to throw in there real quick.
Go ahead, Elusive. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, this is in general. So if anybody fits, if you think this fits you, then that's on you. But I think in general, what it is too is there's some people in the hobby that, just being honest, they've probably never had much control over their life. So once they're in a position of power, they finally feel like, oh man, yes, I could boot Victor out because I have this power that I've never had before in my own life. So that's another. That's all I'm saying. It's definitely a possibility. And again, but again, at the same time, it's just like, dude, the hobby is too new. Like more and more people are going to flood, and this is going to get diluted. Like, and another thing you talked about agendas and having scripts. Look, we all have goals in this hobby. I feel from most people that I've spoken to, or at least, excuse me, the people that I've spoken to, I've always been very transparent about what my goals are for the hobby. I wanted to create a good collection. When I came from the Pokemon, just to put everything out there, because I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to mention what they're going to mention, but this is what's going on. When I came from the Pokemon side, I noticed that it's hard to have the nicer pieces, right? Which is how probably new collectors feel about coming into our hobby, right? They can't. Some of these Grail cards are unattainable. Let's just be honest. I'm trying to find a Kaleidoscope Wolverine from Juiceco. I can't find it.
Good
right?
luck.
So exactly. So there's a lot of cards that I couldn't reach, but I saw the opportunity, and I enjoyed the Marvel cards in general more than Pokemon personally. And I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to transfer from one hobby to another hobby, still within non-sports, right? But have the ability to have a better collection on this side. Number one. Number two, I don't think there's anything wrong if we get to the point where we can monetize anything and make some money within the hobby. It almost goes back to what we've spoken about before, which is what's better if you could fund the hobby with the hobby. And part of the hobby is content creating, right? But by agendas is I'm not trying to get sponsored by Upper Deck or anything. If they sponsor me, that's cool. But I'm going to state my opinion at all times, and I'm being authentic to what I feel and what I think about certain situations. But you would think you have to. But
no, you do have to.
But
I mean,
yeah,
that's if you want your foundation of self to be strong, then you have to be yourself, no matter what. Like you, how do I say that easily? You can't just bend to the will of others. You know what I mean? It's when you start doing that, then you start losing focus of what you're even trying to accomplish yourself. One of the things that you were talking about that I was talking to somebody about, I can't remember, about the growing market, right? What's going to happen is we have a amazing core collector unit in our hobby, right? Through everybody, right? Through MCCW, through through the Masterpieces group, through Instagram, through every group out there. Our core collector ball is just amazing. When this market grows by even 10% more of another market, that's going to be 200 times bigger than our core. And if we let that market dictate our core, then we won't have control over where the market goes. I mean, does that make sense, or are my meds like totally messing with me?
No,
right?
no. I feel you with that. I try to say it like this way. When we grow, our hobby's so small that they're going to overcome us, and if they can determine the market basically, and if we don't nurture the new collectors and take advantage of that opportunity to be like helping people along the way and be like, hey, educating them about stuff on a one-on-one basis is my goal, then we're gonna be in trouble if we can't all collectively like reach out to the new people and accept the new people and not have this civil war of new guard versus old guard. And if
can't do that.
We're now gonna old guard protect our cards. We're not gonna talk about the new stuff. We're not gonna talk about the old stuff or secret things out there. We're gonna, we're gonna keep it all secret now and hide. That is selfish, and that is not healthy for the hobby. And you know what? It won't matter by then because they'll get overtaken, and then the people that overtake that hobby are going to decide what's valuable instead of us being able to nurture them.
Yes,
so I think I got you right.
They're going to tell you where the value is instead of us educating people where the real values are.
And honestly, because look, that what we're discussing now is the same mistake that sports made, right? Because I personally, I'm sure there was behind the scenes things that we're not privy to, right? But from what I was seeing, I never saw a lot of OGs tell people, "Hey, don't buy Luka base 10s," right? Because they're just go for number to go for the goals. You didn't hear none of that.
I think what's more funny is that with the Panini in sports, they basically said nothing before 2018 is GOAT. So all the other previous Panini years, going back to like 2012, those are nowhere near those meme rookies that are coming out now. Nowhere near. Those prices never hit. And it was because those people in the market who made those decisions basically said, don't get that stuff. That's not the good stuff, right? only get 2018 Luka and up, right? And that's where people lost control
Oh my.
of their own markets, right? They basically let all these rookie spec people come in, and I mean, it's ridiculous over there.
But their market reflects that now. You see that a lot of those are way down, and the
Yes,
goats and the numbered and the true rare stuff is slowly still going where it should be.
yes, but they've wasted years.
Mhm.
You know, they've wasted a lot of time learning that lesson.
And someone got stuck with that bag,
Oh
unfortunately as well.
yeah, dude. Oh hell yeah. You know, and honestly, I
That's the
mean, in
big
Marvel, this is the cool shit about Marvel. I don't care if I get stuck with the bag. Oh,
Because
I
it's
got
full.
stuck with the bag.
Yes.
Yeah, the bag is beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I got stuck with a
Birkin.
you know, with a Doctor Octopus 2020 Masterpiece base card. Fine by me. Awesome. Out of 1999, all day. Beautiful art. Thank you. You know, but when you get stuck with like a $400 Kobe White, right? You're done. You're dead. You're dead in the water on that. Nobody's buying that Kobe White, right? You're not going to put that on your desk and be like, Kobe White, right? But
to your point, that's been happening a lot. A lot of sports people have been telling me, like, hey, you know, the reason why I'm going with a certain way in my grading philosophy is because I sent a lot to PSA and had to wait a year. And by then, those cards are now worthless. Me getting them back. You know, a lot of those people are telling these nightmare stories. Not only did they not get the grades they expected, but now those cards they're getting back aren't what they were. You know,
so
it's time. What you
so
said
they're
is
here,
time. Time is
right?
the biggest variable.
They're right here. The market is here, and this is happening. Then they're getting their cards back.
It just goes right.
Right?
And the market, and it goes right by them.
And the market's gone, right? They miss the market.
They miss opportunity.
And that was the big argument like months ago. That not argument, but that was the point I was trying to make like a long time ago about why, like, if you are in it just to flip and make money, the quicker turnaround SGC gets you more of that monetization, because you're getting, like, if the market's right here, you're hitting it, bam, 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 8 or 9 times within that 1 year that it takes just to get one sub back or something like that.
And to add one thing to it, imagine, Brian, if you're a collector, you grade SGC, and then you can just sell a couple things to make your grading fees back, and now you get to keep all this beautiful slabbed art that only appreciates with the years to come. You know?
That
so
was my
you get to enjoy.
That was my thinking on it. You know, it's whenever I sub, I always make sure to include a few things I'm going to sell, a few things I'm building my set grades with, and then a few spec things, right? So you are making some of that back every single sub, right? So it's the greatest savings account in the world, right? You're investing the money into something, right? And getting that little portion back from your savings account, right? And then your percentage on top of that. And then you multiply that 5 or 6 times throughout the year, and you're good.
Well, look, here's one thing, and this to what we even opened the conversation with, is just being open-minded. And this is what I'm about to say is a good example of what we don't always agree. So I'm about to hit you guys with something too. Look,
go for it.
Bring on the BGS talk.
Yeah, this is the logic I use, right? I agree with everything you guys said, but I'm going to use you guys' own words against you.
Sure.
So you guys are saying, you know, I'm going to buy, and what Brian said was completely true. If you're a flipper, SGC is the way to go just because of the turnaround time. It's a no-brainer time, right? The other thing is, other than that, in my opinion, there's no reason to grade right now. Because again, using logic and using numbers, if I have a budget of 10,000, let's just say, or 1,000, fine, we could do 1,000, depending on the level, right? There's your guys that are coming in with $1,000 budget, $10,000 budget, 100,000, and $1 million maybe. But let's just say a $10,000 budget. especially because that's always what I had in the back of my mind. I always knew coming into the hobby, because I saw what happened with Pokemon, that I was against a ticking clock as far as being able to pick up grails as quickly as I could. I never hit that from anybody. I always made it very obvious. I always told Victor, go for numbered, go for goats, blah, blah, blah. And people would ask me, hey, Elusive, when are you going to grade? Not anytime soon. Because if I have extra $3,000 to go get these 100 cards graded at $30 a pop with SGC, I rather put those $3,000 into cards that are going to appreciate more. And see, and then again, so, and the reason I'm using your own words against you guys is what I'm saying by this is you guys just said, hey, I'm pricing my stuff high so it doesn't sell. Well, then you shouldn't have graded in the first place. And you should have put that money in more stuff. Let's keep it 100.
Hey, it's super true.
Yeah.
It's just another way of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
collecting.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that for the newcomers, to you guys' point.
Yeah. I can't agree more with what you're saying. Okay. Right? Because if I were to go back, right, and let's say do it all over again, the only stuff I would have focused on grading was the just very expensive stuff, right? PMGs, anything that I would probably deem over like a $200 card, right? I would have rather graded that. What happened to me was that I wanted to start doing the sets. I want to be a person who has graded sets. And
what happens, Elusive, is it gets addicting. Grading is addicting. So
it does.
This is where we have to admit that we fall into a trap. Wow, this is fun. And then reveals are fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's
right.
The whole it's fun. It's fun. So I see what you're saying, and I can agree with some of that. Sorry to interrupt, but I had to say that.
When I wanted to do sets, I missed, because I was spending so much money grading, I missed countless opportunities to get things 80% cheaper than they are actually today.
Yes.
And I totally regret that, right? Because I had the cards. I didn't need to get it graded.
Correct. You already secured the bag.
I already had the bag. I didn't need to actually grade the sets, right? And put that much dough into it. I could have went and picked up that full 2018 green set with the Old Man Logan green for $8,000.
Or the diamonds, those diamonds Rittenhouse.
Or those diamonds, yeah. I could have went and what's his name? Oh God, what's his name, dude?
Collection Kings?
Collection Kings, yes, thank you. I could have went to his page and picked up all the diamonds that he had, or all the rubies, right? Instead, I was focusing on a different aspect of collecting, right? But I can totally understand where you're coming from, dude. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
And just to clarify, because this is not the first time I bring it up to people in general, and I think people have a misconception of where I'm coming from. Not you guys, but other people. And I'm going to clarify what I mean. People, maybe because of how I come across, like you mentioned, I'm very passionate as well, and I'm very confident in what I say. Why? Because to Victor's point, I came in the hobby and I did nothing but research. Nothing but research. I mean, people that are within the hobby know what I've done as far as in the time that I've done it.
You put in time.
I put in the work, and I researched and I did what I had to do. But here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's my way or the highway and this is the only way to do it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's specific routes for each individual. If you're only going to collect and you're not caring, to your point about flipping, do whatever the fuck you want. Don't even listen to what I'm saying, right?
Put in a Ziploc bag.
Correct. If you're gonna flip, if Ziploc bag, if you're gonna flip, then do what Brian's saying. Go with SGC because of the turnaround time. But if you're doing it for long-term holds, right, or investments, then clearly there's always going to be a more efficient way. And all I'm arguing is that what I said is the most efficient way for that route.
That's true. There's one other thing I do want to add, though, which is part of the strategy that I brought over from sport when I came in, The one thing I noticed was that there were no baselines, right? It was total fucking Wild West. It still kind of is.
Yeah.
And it's because we don't have floors and baselines. And so a part of me, when I went on like a huge grading frenzy, was I needed to get cards out there to build the baselines, right?
To create
I've
comps.
sold things. Yes, you need comps. You need newcomers need to see where values are heading, and they can't do that if there's no values established, right? And so I sacrificed a lot of money in order to like try to create baselines. You know what I mean? And I sold things that I shouldn't have for way less than I believed they were worth, and I took offers just so that I can get starting baselines on some of the stuff out there, you know. And full disclosure, I mean, when I came in, I had like 2 or 3 different selling accounts, so I was doing it from different avenues, you know, because I needed people to see what the actual markets were. You know, I was selling stuff on PWCC. I've probably sold at least 500 slabs on PWCC when I came in. And all that stuff was basically so that, one, I could recoup what I put in, right? The greatest savings account. But the second is that, so it did establish baselines and comps and things like that, so that now we have something more solid to go on.
So you're pretty much saying that you kind of you took one for the team similar to what Ian did for the PMGs. You wanted to do for other cards.
Well, I would say I did it more consciously at a way lower level.
Of course, yeah, because of PMGs.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened to Ian was tragic, and nobody could have seen coming. And that's like a level that's way up here. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, fundamentally, what you're saying, you're totally right.
Got it. All right.
Look, what happened to him could happen to anyone too, and it happens to all of us. We all make mistakes. We're all learning in this hobby, and we all make mistakes in selling certain things too early, selling certain things like too late, selling certain things at a certain
I'm
time.
still doing it.
You know what I mean?
I'm still doing it, right?
But
I'm still doing it.
I'm still making
my last one that I took for the team, right? I just sold the SGC 9 Royal Foil Spider-Man out of 99.
Right. Yeah, you did.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I was asking, I think $1,500 for it, and I took 6.
Yeah. And it did. It did. And you're right on that one, because since then the Royal Foils, like the base, even for the 99, because I think that's what you sold, right? The ones that are 99.
Right. But look at it this way. Look at it this way, real quick. Look at it this way. I sold that for like 5 or 6 out of 99. Insanely sick card, right? But now anybody who has the other 99s, now they have a comp. People who have the 25s know that there's the multiplier from what I sold it at. The people who have the 10s know there's a multiplier now. It only benefits them.
100%.
So in my head, I felt taking the lower deal would benefit all the other people who are bag holding that specific card, you know? So that's kind of how I try to like strategize a little bit with my sales.
Yeah. No, and look, that makes sense. And for the greater good. The only thing I was going to say real quick about the Ian point, or even any point about selling stuff when you know, you mentioned like we all sell stuff maybe a little bit too early. Now, look, the only asterisk I put in here, obviously, at the end of the day, and O'Brien's always been really good at this. What he always mentions is, you know, at the end of the day, you're trading one piece of cardboard for many pieces of paper, right? So if it ever comes to where you need to pay your bills or you need to take care of your family, by any means, it doesn't matter what you sold early. So for that, you can't blame anybody for being a man and providing for their family. So I totally agree with that. That's the caveat to like selling early. I don't care if you sold early, if you needed to take care of what you needed to take care of.
Yeah, if you need the dough, you need the dough, right? And there were times I did need the money, right?
Mhm.
But it was because I needed to grade more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I needed it to like fuel the train that I was trying to like get going, you
Mhm.
know?
No, that makes sense.
I would say this too. I would say this to Elusive's point. There you went after Grail cards. Now, most all of them were Grail cards to you. Some of them are just special art pieces to you of your favorite
Yes.
characters that you wanted to lock down.
Mhm.
Now, I think, just to rebuttal a bit, you could easily send a few of those in that you wanted to keep as your PC just to have graded, because, at $30 and you're already spending this much, it's not going to kill you. But yeah, there's got to be a balance. Like, you can still grade, but you don't want to let it get out of hand to where it's like you're grading every base card and trying to do a set.
Yeah.
You got to really do the math in your head of what your budget can handle. And for me, I'm in no way a big time subber. But my only last point about grading is, why not? Because also at the low end, you need to establish a healthy hobby. And for me, it was like, well, people want to grade. Why not grade? And at least this way, even on the low end of cards, like I can enjoy that, man. I can
Yeah.
submit them in, and I know in my heart that I can get some of these cards back, and it's not like a big loss if I'm selling some of these older vintage stuff in SGC
Right.
that are at a 9, 9, 5, 10, because I can recuperate that. It helps pay off my grading fees. I keep my PC stuff, and then on the side I have that little extra money to invest it into more cards for my PC. So for me,
Right.
it's helped me level up in a little ways on a budget. And if you're a budget guy and you're starting, like, I'm not as heavy hitter as a lot of the other people in the community. Does that mean I'm not part of the community? No, of
Oh.
course not. Everybody fits in, and we want our kids to enjoy it too. So I buy a lot of the lower end product to enjoy with my kids and to show with them the fun of collecting and enjoying a hobby. But if you don't establish on the low end level, the mid tier level, and the high level, that floor, like Brian was talking about, it's not going to help the hobby ever be healthy. And while we were small,
Right.
it was fun. It's fun to grade a little bit and have it kind of pay for the hobby, have the hobby pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And since I didn't want to sell my comics coming from a comic
Mm.
area, and I was not ready, CGC takes unbelievably long to
Oh,
return your books, and it's
good
just
God.
it's just not as easy. So for me, coming from the comic side, I was like, this is an opportunity to have my cards pay for themselves, and my comics, I have a little extra to buy some more books, so
Yeah.
I can match with my card, because I like to
Yeah.
match them with my card.
Well, just to what you said, I mean, I get it. Like, the only thing that would make sense is probably the opposite of what you said, which is, I think that's what you meant, which was grade the cards that you could move already, because I'm not gonna grade my grail cards that are grails to me, right? And the
At
reason
least not
being,
yet.
not yet, exactly, and not with SGC. Only being upfront, it's because
Yeah, no, I'm not
you
saying it
guys
has
already
to be
know.
SGC.
No, I know. I'm saying, yeah, and I'm trying to explain, not that I need to, but I'm just trying to like explain why I like BGS. The main reason I enjoy BGS is because of the subgrades and like those cases are tanks.
Right.
And one of the things I hate personally, even in a PSA, which is why I'm like 90% of my cards that are PSA are 10s, I can't stand getting a 9 and not understanding why I got a 9.
All right. Yeah.
So at least when I look at it on a BGS slab, I go, oh, okay, the surface was an 8, or those corners were an 8.
Right.
And that's what set it off. So it gives me an explanation, number one. But number two, it holds the graders accountable. Because if I see that they put it's a centering 10 and it's a fucking 8 centering, then I know that we're sleeping on the job. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So that's number one. And
Yeah,
another
very
thing,
telling.
the reality is that when we're going to find out, and I don't even know if it's ever going to be possible now, just because of the disparities between each company's pricing now and their models and the way they want to structure their company. But the only in a fairy tale land, the only way we would find out which is the company people would prefer is if they were all $30. Then we would see who you would grade with. Are you still going to go with SGC if at BGS is $30?
It's a good
It
question.
could happen though, elusive. It could happen. Listen, Fanatics could buy BGS. PSA is already down to 100. Things are getting different in the hobby. So in 2022, I'm hopeful for that. I'd love to see that more data comes out in that regard, because There is
Or all SGC
there is a
has to do is add subgrades.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, wow,
That would
that's
help.
all you'd have to do, really.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, look,
I
I
agree.
remember the other thing I remember
agree.
that just to address this, like Victor, and again, that's the awesome thing I like about talking to Victor and Brian. We literally said we preach, you know, we say what we preach. We don't know, we don't always see eye to eye, but we hear each other out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the
Yep.
other thing is that Victor sent me this whole thing about SGC and the gem rates between the three companies. And Victor could tell you that, being honest, I replied to that. I don't care about any other sport. I want to see the data on Marvel only because that's what I'm collecting.
Just Marvel.
And if I go
Yeah.
in and I could pull that data myself because it's so little data right now, right? And I guarantee you, because I already did some of that with the 90MU, BGS has the lowest gem rate between all three companies.
And Pancake Analytics, Pancake Analytics is doing that right now. He's working on the 90MU, precisely that set, and having the data broken down in his amazing way. He's very thorough.
I already did it, so
and
those are probably those are part of the results he's going to see. It's going to be PSA's handing out the most amount of tens. PSA's handing out the most amount of tens. I'm going to be honest. Followed by SGC, and then BGS is handing the least amount of gems.
I think the biggest variable in all of that is going to be this. When the Marvel grading boom, I guess you can call it, happened, there wasn't a lot of people sending stuff to BGS in the first place, right? So I think the variable, the biggest X factor would be to see the amounts
volume
of, yes, the volume versus the rates, the gem rates. Because I will definitely agree with you that BGS would have the lowest gem rate, right? And I know they have 3 different gem rates or something like that, right? But they would have the lowest only because they would have the absolute least amount of Marvel cards sent to them. Right? So that type of data could very much skew that percentage.
Yeah.
My point was just this, Elusive, in sending you the post, is that they're very close with that one and two. The thing is the misconception of, oh, it's easier to get. That was my point. Like the misconception of, hey,
they
don't grade. It's tough. They're both. All three. The top 3 grade pretty tough. Like that was my thing. I wasn't trying to single it out. I was trying to highlight. Like, look,
they all grade pretty
consistently.
Tough. Yeah, I mean, when you look at like the centering rules, PSA is the most lenient at 60-40. SGC is 50-50.
Well, but let's be honest. From what I've seen as well, and you know this, they're not very. You know where I'm going. They're not.
I know exactly what Black Suit Spider-Man you're going to.
They're not very lenient, or they're very lenient on their centering on the back of the card.
On the back, yes. On the front, they are. If it's anything less than 50-50, it's not gem top, right? Whereas PSA is 60-40. Right?
You know what I think, and I think nobody ever talks about this, is a deviation, right? Like, and I'll explain what that means. Like, so for some people knows, it's not, you know, not that I want to throw this in, but the only other thing I've heard of this rule applying is like an IQ. If you go take an IQ test and they give you your IQ, let's say they tell you, you know, your IQ is 100, but they tell you there's a deviation of 5. Meaning they could be off by 5 points. So your real IQ could be either 95 or 105, right? Well, I think if grading people did that, I do think that PSA has the greatest deviation. They probably have a deviation of 1 to 1.5, maybe, right? I'm just being honest. From what I've seen about like, and I think both SGC and BGS fall in like a deviation of 0.5. So meaning you could have a 9.5 that's truly a 9, and you could have a 9 that's truly a 9.5. It goes both ways.
Right? You can. But and I'll just be super unbiased on this, right? All the companies make mistakes in grading, right? For example, I'll start with SGC first. When they had that little tiny flap on the black tux part that was like creasing the cards, right? That just happened with the blue PMGs. And then them arguing that it wouldn't drop the card down and yada, yada, yada. And that was bullshit, right? But they issued the real grade, and then the assembly destroyed the card, right? The mistakes PSA were making were gem 10ing cards that were bent.
Yes. Or
Straight
or
up,
yeah.
straight up bent
Or
cards.
you know what nobody's paying,
Or
to your point.
stained
Yeah.
cards,
Or
right?
discolored. One thing that I'm just going to throw in because it's to your point, and I've noticed people make this mistake a lot. I recently saw a Gambit PSA 10 go up for sale auction, right? And it was the one of the ones I'm chasing, which is the 92 Jim Lee Gambit, right?
Mhm.
And it's a pop 2 Gambit, and I was like, okay, I'm going to bid on this Gambit. But then luckily, I saw the back of and I feel bad. I'm sorry, whoever bought this Gambit. In the back, it's stained, so it's not
Yeah.
a 10. It should have
No,
never gotten that 10. So
not
as
at
soon
all.
as I saw that, I passed.
Yes. Yep. And so, like, what I'm trying to get at is they all make mistakes, right? But PSA makes actual grade mistakes,
Mhm.
right? Whereas SGC is like a manufactured slab of mistake, like it's a damage, right, to the card after the grade. Where PSA, using my own reason I left PSA years ago was because of that Durant rookie, right? And I'll bring it up again. Orange 2007 Durant rookie, right? Beautiful condition. So damn beautiful. Sent it to PSA. They gave it a 6. Okay. I got it back. No, not at all. I'm not an idiot. I crack it, send it back. I get it back. It's a 7. I crack it again, send it back. It's a 9.
An 8 or
Right?
9.
6 to 9, same exact card, right? To me, that was the last straw that actually made me just, you're just a bunch of bullshit.
But look, one thing I want to touch on that we've never touched on, we'll close out with this, because we've talked about grading a bunch, but one of the things or the aspects of grading that we never talked about and we haven't, not because we're not honest, but we haven't touched on it, is at the end of the day, like when we argue about every different company and the deviation again on how bad they grade, it it's a reflection of the company, but in reality, it comes down to the individuals grading the card. And what affects the individual grading the card to me is number one, what you're paying these graders.
Oh yeah.
You can't, right? You get what you pay for. If you pay
Yeah.
someone $15 an hour with maybe 6 months of experience, you're going to get that in results. And if you're paying someone, let me just finish this thought. If you pay someone $25 an hour and they've been doing it for years and maybe they're in the hobby themselves, they're going to be a lot more strict with the way they grade these cards, right?
Yeah.
That's part one. And I think part two, and I know because I've heard this, that a possible solution could be AI grading. Now, here's the problem with AI grading that a lot of people don't want to admit, and I've seen it because I've seen discussions and they kind of like stay away from this, is that it's going to fuck up everybody else's cards that are around graded now. Because that means that the standard, right? It's kind of like you've seen this before with certain sets that people go, oh, is that an old PSA cert? Oh, I won't buy it. I only buy the new PSA cert, right? So now they're going to use that rationale, and for once, it's going to be right? Because if there's nothing but AI's grading cards, that means that
there's no bias.
Impartial. There's no bias, right?
Yeah.
But what does that mean for my PSA 10s?
Exactly.
That means that maybe some of them are 9.5s, and they shouldn't have got the 10.
I'm going to add to what you were saying.
Hmm?
I'm going to add to what you were saying about the pain, right? When you have a company that's the industry leader, that's the perceived God company, right? Then the people who are using your service think they're getting stuff graded by specialists. Okay. Now, when was the last time you heard of any specialist getting paid less than $100 an hour?
No, probably not.
Right?
Not many.
No.
Yeah.
Because a specialist commands money.
Premium.
Right? You can't have a factory filled of just like part-time employees making $15 and think you're getting a specialist.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is across the board too.
Just say
right?
what you're
In
saying.
all
I
the
think
companies.
the best way to say it is like, if I'm going to get brain surgery, do I want brain surgery from the doctor making $1,000 an hour or the doctor making $100 an hour?
Exactly. You know, now if it came down to like dental work, then I'm going to go to Mexico where the greatest dentists in the world are, and I'm going to pay $25, you know. But if I wanted something like this, right? The amount of money people make definitely affects the solidness of their job, right? That's all I'm trying to make. It's hard for me to like kind of focus right now because I'm like going in and out.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah, I knew. I was trying. That's what I'm trying to help you out with there because I knew what you were trying to explain.
Okay.
But grading, come on, there's got to be an option for people to also be able to do well with it and not be millionaires. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like, I
No,
just think
true.
it's like a little ridiculous to be like, hey, like, you know what? If we're gonna charge a fair price for grading, that's fair on both ends, where we can pay our graders well and we can deliver a good product. I just think it should be like a balance for both ends, or you're really doing a disservice to the hobby overall, because
Absolutely.
And
more
it's,
competition is better. More
yes,
competition is a healthier hobby,
that I agree
you
with. But
know.
the other
So
thing I'll say on that point is another thing with that as well is, look, if we go back 2 to 3 years, you could go back because I'm sure there's some people that have videos up on YouTube that've been grading for 10 years or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
And if you find out what just what BGS and PSA was charging 3 years ago, right, versus what they're charging now, even if you account for inflation, if they want to throw that in there,
$12,
12
15
bucks. How
bucks.
can you tell me that you're going to go
$7
from? How are you going to tell me that you're going to go from 12 bucks per card to 150 a card, but you're going to give me the same fucking standard of fucking quality
Yeah.
control? That
Or
makes
check
no
this
sense.
out. Check this out. Charging $12 a card with a backlog of 5 million plus cards. How much money is that?
Yeah, that's
That's what, 500 million? 50 million?
50 million.
Okay. Now go to like 150
Yeah,
and get a backlog that's
750
still
million.
continuing to build,
Mhm.
right? And they can't give the graders more
They
money
deserve
so
as far
that
as
they
pay.
can become more involved, right?
And more
Insanity.
time to grade
no,
a
they
card,
hire
not give them 2 minutes to grade it also,
Exactly. Yeah.
or
I
whatever they give them.
pre-qualify my cards longer than these companies actually legitimize them. I spend 5-10 minutes per card, you know, myself.
Before we close out, people, please take a video, take a picture of your cards before you send them to PSA, BGS, SGC, HGA, wherever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Take a picture, video of your cards before. You will not get your money or value back worth. They will not give a damn, any company, if you cannot provide proof that they were not damaged, you know, when you had them in your hand. You have to cover your bases. If you're going to send them, humans make mistakes. Every company has made mistakes
Yep.
with people's cards. And
And
for me, it's
record
very
yourself
few and far between.
and record yourself opening it too, right? Because if
Yeah.
you open a box and you have a cracked slab, you need to show them that it was damaged during delivery. You know,
Yeah.
that's what happened with my Surfer 9.5. You know, it's
Always do your reveals, complete reveals on camera. That's why we do
Yeah.
them. We're not just doing it for our entertainment. It's fun,
Mhm.
but we do it because we have
Document.
a video record.
Yeah, it's an
we can
archive.
document and send it to them.
It's an
archived,
archive
and we can be like, hey,
of our junk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
it's
point.
one thing if they mislabel. If they mislabel you, that's a simple fix on their end. They know they messed up. But if they damage your card, that's different. That's your treasure, you know?
And
And that's why a
also,
lot of people are hesitant to send. You have to cover your own ass. You do.
also
Please do.
just to add, right? If a company, I mean, obviously my experience that I have the most with right now is with SGC, right? If they mislabel or if you get a cracked slab, okay, you email their customer service. They're going to ask you for proof. You send them a proof. They're going to email you a UPS slip, it's a 1-day turnaround. The day they get it, that's the day they ship it back to you.
Let me
They
ask you a
fix
question
it.
on that note. If let's say you have a SGC9 and you send that in, you call customer service. Are they nice like Upper Deck and send you back like a 10?
Dude, no.
Oh, they don't do. Oh, damn it.
No,
They're
no.
Okay.
nice.
Okay.
They're
So
nice. They
so
are nice.
they are super nice. I've had some great conversations with them over there. What they will do, let's say you get a card back. Let's say you get a buyback that's a 3, right? Big. If you don't believe in that, right, then you can resubmit it to them, right? You pay the grading
You
fee.
do that.
Again, you resubmit it. It goes to a second level of grader, right? It goes to like their grading manager, so to speak. And then they reevaluate it and then adjust the grade according to what they see it as, right?
Well, do they also justify it and give you your money back for the second time you grading fee because
Correct.
it was their mistake? Good.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
So if they are found at fault, they'll adjust your grade and then refund you the secondary submission amount.
Awesome. That's cool.
Right. So that's just with SGC. I know other companies do it different. Like I think PSA will do they'll pay you the current market value or something like that, plus give you the new grade, right? So it's a little bit nicer of a reward, I guess. I don't know what BGS does.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of the other companies do, but that's what SGC does. And the only reason I mentioned that is because I had a conversation with somebody who had a mislabel, and they didn't know it was a 1-day turnaround to get it fixed. And it was in their PC, and they're like, dude, this shit's bugging me, right? Like, we all have some type of OCD. That would bug the crap out of me too. And so I was telling them, I'm like, dude, 1-day turnaround. Email them, show them that it's wrong, they'll fix it. Bam. Done deal, you know? And their customer service gets back in 1 day.
Yeah, but I was really hoping you tell me they'd send me like a PMG to go with it, just to make me feel better.
No. Not one.
No?
They send you all of them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
By the way, I'm sorry I have to say this. I bought my first replacement card not from Upper Deck directly, from eBay. Somebody sent in their Platinum Planet Metal Nimrod. Correct, Nimrod. And it was a platinum. And, clearly a top 5 character. They sent that in. It was damaged. They told me which card it was. They told me it was damaged. They sent it into Upper Deck. Upper Deck returned them with a 2015 Fleer Retro Red Storm PMG.
Because the Nimrod clearly is the equal value.
And you know what the thing is? You know what the thing about funny, and you guys know this. The funny thing about that situation.
So I bought that card.
Yeah, the funny thing about that situation is that people that have been on the receiving end of that program will call you a hater, but we're not hating.
No,
I don't want your Storm or your whatever you got as a replacement. I'm just saying that there's just an issue with that whole replacement program.
Yes.
No, I'm saying, I personally don't hate on what they got. I'm just not happy with the replacement program and how it works.
I think the people getting these insanely great replacements that fucking hand clap. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's the greatest thing in the world that they're getting these.
Yeah.
Right? I'd be super ecstatic too.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't stop me from saying that it's a stupid ass program. You know, like if you sent me a gold Gambit, dude, I'd be so ecstatic. I'd be ripping my clothes off. But then I'd be like, that's fucking retarded, because nobody should have ever had that. You know, that should have been in a pack.
In the first place.
I know that's your first argument, because we spoke about this behind the scenes a couple of times. My biggest thing, and I agree with you guys, that the whole thing about the program, to me, it smells fishy. But the biggest thing that bothers me is the lack of understanding, like tiers of characters, let alone what year of PMG you're sending me. Number one is just, dude, if I'm sending you an A-list send me an A-list back. If I'm sending you a B-list character, don't send me an A-list character.
Right. Yeah.
That's nice of you. That's nice of you. I appreciate it, but don't do that
Yeah.
because that's not fair for someone else that was looking for that card.
Right. Could you imagine
Shows the
sending in like
disregard
a?
by them.
Can you imagine sending in like a damaged,
Blob.
like a damaged Lonzo Ball 1/1, and then getting back like a Jordan NBA patch 1/1? You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine the
The uproar.
the utter shitstorm that
Mhm.
would be caused by that? Dude, they would be rioted.
Well,
The whole building would burn.
well, let's be honest. Depending on who got that card, might not even say shit about it.
Oh, dude, trust
Yeah.
me. Like, if full disclosure, if that happened to me,
Oh yeah, of course.
it'd be buried. Like, I'd time capsule that shit. Nobody would know because
But
I'd be like, no,
Real
nobody
talk.
should know this.
well, yeah, and we'll close it out with this. That just comes back to this. What is the percentage of real people out there versus the people that are just going to go with the flow?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's probably very like 10% or less. So,
Yeah.
dude, it was nice chopping it up with you guys again.
Always.
Hope we all have a great new year. More than anything, I'm hoping that all your families are well and everybody, we don't get no more fucking lockdowns or any more BS games, But other than that, let's keep enjoying the hobby. Let's keep it friendly. But let's keep it real, honestly, as well. And again, just because you talk to anybody and have a discussion does not mean you're co-signing what their opinions are. You're just open-minded, and that's okay. You guys have a good night, man.
Amen.